Hey, now we're going to go to America. We're going to have a quick look at starting with the night of nights for New York high society. That's the annual Met Gala, where they've got costume themes every year, and this one was in America. And so how did they turn up? Well, reality star Kim Kardashian turned up in a cloak-like creation. That's generous, I think, to call it that. Singer Billie Eilish was resplendent, channeling Marilyn Monroe. But it was every Republican's favourite socialist, New York Congresswoman and former bartender Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who stole the show because she loves attention. There she is in her white gown at the $35,000 a head event with the words "Tax the Rich" emblazoned across her torso. What a show pony. Well, joining me now to discuss it is journalist Brad Polumbo, live from Washington, D.C. Brad, thank you so much for joining me on Bernardi tonight. Nothing says tear down capitalism like partying up with the cream of the cashed up crop at one of the world's most exclusive events. Tell me this. Why do all the rich and famous feel like making a need to make fools of themselves and dress like freaks?
I don't know. This is AOC's let them eat cake moment, right? She's supposed to fight against the elite, but she's decided to party with them instead. And it is funny, and it's really grating and glaring and hypocritical, but it's also really covering a deeper issue, too, because at this Met Gala, you literally had masked servants standing around and just watching and waiting on these unmasked celebrities. There's literally one video where AOC has a masked servant carry the train of her dress so it doesn't touch the ground while she's not wearing a mask. This is COVID inequality in a nutshell, and it's even more than just out-of-touch, hypocritical elite celebrities.
Yeah, it's amazing though, Brad, that out-of-touch celebrities, hypocrites, they're all over the place. And I have to tell you, they're still in the Oval Office a little bit because the US president has joined the tax the rich conversation today, even though he's very rich himself. Joe Biden called for lawmakers to back a multi-trillion-dollar budget package, which includes a tax on the super rich. What are the details behind this and who's driving this agenda?
Yeah, it's a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase. It's got taxes on individual income earners, on corporations that really would ultimately fall on workers. This would fuel the inflation that's hurting Americans of all income levels right now, eating away their paycheck. It's all to push a big climate change and welfare spending push that they're trying to push. This is right out of the pocketbook of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, of Bernie Sanders, of other Democrats like this. And unfortunately, that's who President Biden has decided to embrace and channel within his own party with this latest tax and spend push. But it's taxpayers of all stripes, not just the rich, who would really be forced to pay for it.
Yeah, that's the common theme. They target one group, but it forces everyone else. But Biden did admit this week that Americans weren't doing very well financially under his presidency. But I couldn't understand this logic, so maybe you can explain it to him. He claimed that his $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill would, and I quote, end inflation and extreme weather. Let's have a listen to this.
My Republican friends talk a lot about inflation. But if you want to talk about actually lowering the cost of living for people in this country, my plan does just that. Here's something else my plan does. It confronts the crisis of extreme weather events that we're seeing all around us and around the world, but just here in America.
So, Brad, how does a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill prevent extreme weather events or, slay the dragon of inflation?
Look, I feel like I just lost IQ points listening to that because spending trillions of dollars that we don't have, right? The U.S. is $28+ trillion in debt. The Federal Reserve has been printing trillions of new dollars to pay for a lot of the spending we've shelled out over the last year or two. That's going to give you more inflation, not less. And the green climate new deal stuff that's in there, that's in this spending package, isn't going to stop hurricanes and earthquakes. I mean, we're talking about electric vehicle subsidies that mostly, unfortunately, go to higher income people in blue states. and things of that sort. That unless you somehow drastically change worldwide climate emissions, this welfare spending isn't going to make any difference. It's just he knows he can say this and it will rile up the progressive base in the left in America, which really cares about climate change and unfortunately doesn't care so much about economics.
That's very true. But I reckon everyone over there has to care that America's top general, Mark Milley, secretly rang his Chinese counterpart to assure Beijing the US would not launch an attack against them. And he even said he'd warned this opponent of his ahead of any military action. Now, Brad, have you ever heard of anything like this before in the history of the United States? Because it's akin to treason, isn't it?
I mean, if he ultimately had followed through with it, I think it may be. But I understand President Trump was erratic, and the job of a general to advise him would not be an easy one. But that's your job if you are in the high-ranking brass of the U.S. military. And to say that you would tip off the enemy, let's be honest, in this scenario, China would be our enemy. That could endanger U.S. citizens. That could get our military personnel killed. I don't know what on earth that this general was thinking, but he put his own political or self-interested values over his oath of office and everything he swore to protect, which includes the Constitution. So this should be investigated. He has no confidence from anybody anymore. And at the very least, he should resign.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brad, there's so many institutions in America and people in high positions of authority that seem to have put their political ideas ahead of their obligations to the country. Thank you so much for your time, for joining me on Bernardi tonight. I hope you'll come back and get up very early again and do it again very soon.
Thanks.